Opposition Day number 1, Ms. MacLeod.
Speaker, I move that in the opinion of this House, Ontario students and their parents deserve a world-class education system with the best and brightest teachers that includes extracurricular and co-curricular activities that are free from disruptions. And whereas extracurricular and co-curricular activities enrich our children's learning experience, and the McGuinty-Wynne government have been unable to ensure that these programs are protected in our schools, and whereas, despite enacting and then repealing Bill 115, the Putting Students First Act, which imposed union contracts on teachers and education workers, the government has not been able to ensure stability in Ontario's schools. And whereas the House believes that teachers in our classrooms should be hired because they are the best and most qualified to teach our students rather than being hired on seniority basis, therefore, the Premier and Minister of Education should, within 72 hours of the passage of this motion, send a letter to all directors of education, trustees of district school boards, and the union leaders at the central offices and the local offices of all provincial teachers' unions that expresses the will of this duly elected and democratically elected legislature that the government should introduce legislation that amends a teacher's job description to re-include certain co-instructional activities that the Liberal government removed. Said co-instructional activities to be reintroduced into a teacher's legislated job description shall include, but not be limited to, timely and fully completed report cards, meeting with parents outside classroom hours, attending staff meetings, marking assignments, and helping students with remediation, special needs, and extra after-school work. That union leaders should no longer tell frontline teachers how those teachers may use their personal time, both inside and outside of the school day, including but not limited to volunteering, helping students, supervising, performing, or organizing extracurricular or co-curricular activities, and that contravening the aforementioned shall be considered by this House an abuse of union power, that those involved in such tactics should be referred to the Ministry of Labour for investigation for engaging in illegal labour action under Ontario's Labour Relations Act, and they will be subject to fines. And that, if fined, they should be reported to the Ontario College of Teachers for workplace harassment and conduct unbecoming of a teaching professional. That the Liberal government, through an order in Council, should repeal all aspects of controversial Ontario Regulation 274/12, hiring practices, that was instated on September 12, 2012. By repealing this regulation, the government recognizes that they have hindered student success by preventing principals in our schools to hire the best qualified teacher for the job.
Further debate? Further debate? Ms. MacLeod.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I appreciated the opportunity to move the following motion on behalf of Ontario PC Leader Tim Hudak and our entire caucus. This is a comprehensive plan to enhance co-instructional activities like report card writing and parent-teacher interviews. It is a plan to fully restore extracurricular activities in our schools, and it is a plan for our province to hire the best teachers for the job on merit rather than simply through seniority. Speaker, as you know, the last few months have been very difficult on students and their parents. The labour disagreement between the government and the teachers' unions have placed Ontario students squarely in the middle, making them pawns in a dispute they have nothing to do with. We know, for example, some unions have had their teachers cancel open houses and parent-teacher nights. Speaker, if I may, this is both substantial for opportunities for parents to monitor their child's progress and learn more about the home and school expectations of the teachers. The Ontario Progressive Conservative Caucus rejects that action. We believe it is unacceptable, it is intolerable, and we want to change that. We also know that some unions have had their teachers include only the bare minimum into the fall report cards. In fact, a memorandum from ETFO, the Elementary Teachers Federation, to its 76,000 members, advised its teachers to simply put in a, quote, single sentence indicating strength and next steps, and further said, quote, personalized feedback does not mean every student must have a different comment. Teachers are not required to fill in all of the boxes. This is disappointing. Personalized feedback, Speaker, should be personalized because, after all, each child in our education system is unique, and they deserve to have a teacher who is fully analyzing their progress. As a parent, I can attest report cards are an important way for me, as I know they are for other parents, to assess my child's learning. And we know, for example, extracurriculars. The great equalizer in our province has been removed by the unions, who have threatened their teachers with sanctions if they were to dare offer after-school clubs, drama productions, or music lessons outside of school hours. This is particularly destructive, Speaker, to students who rely on extracurricular activities to enrich their student learning. I think of a small child who may not be able to afford, through his or her parents, to play hockey in a house league, but they can through school. This action that has been taking place in our school system for the past 7 months is hurting that child, is hurting that person's equal opportunity, and it needs to be restored. And if I may speak right now to those teachers who don't support the union's activities, it is personally, I think, destructive for them as well. That is why it is time for Ontario to clearly define a teacher's job and take action to protect our children's extracurricular and co-curricular activities, which have become bargaining chips in the recent labour dispute. We need to shift the focus, Speaker, in our education system back onto the students in this province and away from our unions. After all, our education system was built for student learning and success, not to embolden union leaders. Reducing the ability of union leaders to inflict punishment on our children and on their teachers is a critical priority for Tim Hudak and the Ontario Progressive Conservative Caucus. Our motion will protect teachers like Ottawa's Caroline Orchard from being told by union leaders how they may spend their personal time, both inside and outside of the school, by recommending sanctions be placed on those who engage in these practices. Caroline Orchard is a high school teacher at Sir Robert Borden High School in Nepean, in the City of Ottawa. She recently launched a petition called "It Is My Time." That's right. We couldn't agree more in the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party. Extracurriculars are done on voluntary time. That means government can't tell a teacher what he or she can do on their spare time, but a union leader shouldn't be able to tell them what they're not allowed to do on their spare time. We think those intimidation tactics are terrible, Speaker. We think it's time that they've been removed. It's draconian, and we need to move our system into the 21st century, not be stuck in 1950s labour tactics that hurt our students and hurt those teachers who want to teach. But, Speaker, that's not all. Our recent white paper on education talks about if a teacher is not available. We'll give more power to principals, just like the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board did, to find community volunteers to coach that hockey team, direct that school play, lead that school trip, and so on. The show must go on, Speaker, because our students in our schools in Ontario deserve that. Now, on Friday, the Premier decided that she would applaud herself for OSSTF's recent announcement on extracurriculars. But that plan, and if you can even call it a plan, is problematic. While the OSSTF head now says that teachers can offer extracurricular activities, he openly admits that a large percentage of his teachers will not go back to extracurriculars. We also know that the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario has not decided they would restore extracurricular activities. And beyond all that, Speaker, we know that at the drop of a hat, the minute these union leaders get angry again, they'll take it out on our students and they will employ these same tactics